there was a little moment that I decided I'd come on here for now and try to work on a little bit of something different. And you'll see that as for how these Santas are going, there's kind of a little work to be made into them. And I say that we will kind of work on the faces a little bit later, but as for right now, we will work on sanding the most part out of them, just to kind of get them a little smoother, get rid of the lines, get rid of the facets, because this is how the work is going to come along here once we get it made. I might kind of talk a little bit while I sand these Santas out, so I'd say a little bit of work shall come into them, make them so fine and true, and all the work I do, make it so bright and healthy now. Oh, all the work is just coming a long way, making a brighter day of all of us. And I'd say that little things like this, we're going to come along on them. I'd say that this can be its own little video for the series, its own little video for the playlist, or whatever we've got here, but I'd say we're going to try to get all these lines and facets out, and we always start out with a rough grit of sandpaper. This one is like probably a 40 grit, a 36 grit, something like that, which is very thick. That's what we use to get the worst of it out of the Santa and anything you carve out of wood, that is. I'd say from the time that I worked with wood and hadn't started carving yet, it was the kind of thing I had sort of in a way maybe just figured out for myself. So as for how the work shall come along, it shall make its way to us. There's a little time when, as for a little work, we make it all come the way it goes. Some of this may take a little while, then other parts of it will. But when we go to sanding down the figures, we go to show that we got the time and effort going into this. Make it so it's bright and easy. Oh, just for a little enjoyment and pleasure in life, we gotta work things a long way. And I'd say that this is how I kind of make things, so they come out so much better, show a lot easier. There probably are a few projects out there you make where you let the facets show, but this is one that I think it looks better when it's sanded, just to try to get all the extra work done out of it. You know, and the same author who made this pattern for this, the Alpine St. Nicholas and the St. Niklaus and all that stuff, he also kind of had a little pattern for a Celtic love that was in his book, and it was among those things where he kind of gave different directions for it. He talked about how there would be some projects you'd probably, or most of them that is, that you'd finish carving them before you sand them. But I remember, I think I recall that that particular piece of work was sort of an exception here and there. There were probably just a few reasons why it was, and I'd say that and I don't recall exactly what, but it might have been a piece where it could just as well have been some of the things about some of the certain lines you put in between and how that, it's one of those things where you carve out the wood to make it look like it has been woven, because there might have been times in Celtic days when they probably took pieces of wood, boiled them over water, and kind of used that to weave them out. And as for how we know it goes, the work was great. The work was awesome. The work was really taking us a good toll on us, making us so that we could learn a lot, see a lot, and understand a lot. And there was quite an old story behind it about how people took the Celtic spoons in those days and gave them to their loved ones. It was kind of like an old way of saying in those days you wanted to date somebody. And sometimes there's little things in life that kind of mean different things to different ones of us, different times. And there's different cultures in the world. Where how in the United States, a couple gets engaged and a man gives a woman a diamond ring. But it kind of happens that as things get a little changing over time, there's places in India where a woman shows she's married by wearing a red dot on her forehead. So we know that things are going to be different in one part of the world to the next. But I say, as far as how this goes, we all learn a lot from history. I was at an event last Saturday where I was sharing some things that I knew from little things I had studied in life, and that lady I was talking to, she said to me, "Oh, you sure know your history." Yeah, that's true, I know my history. There's a lot of things that interest me so much that I like to study about them and read about them and learn about them. And it means so much to read and see all these things and learn so much about them, what they have to say, what they have to do. And all my time in life, there's so much I say. I was at Joann's Fabrics last night, telling stories out of Wikipedia about little lawsuits that McDonald's faced at times. Like when they used that Mac Tonight figure with the man with the crescent-shaped moon for a head, and he sang that song, Mac Tonight, that was kind of a parody off the old song Mac the Knife, and about the lawsuit they faced for that, and even about the fact that when they came out with the early bird, the birdie character, around the time they started serving breakfast, that little bird character was kind of a takeoff of something from a show called H.R. Puff and Stuff, and they faced a lawsuit for that as well. I'd say by this point, we've gotten a certain grit in here enough. We sometimes take a better look to see what grit we're going to do next. Sometimes it's good to kind of even them out. You can use different grits at different times, depending on what kind of work you're doing, but that was just probably a 36 grit there, and now I'm going to use an 80 grit. There were times when, with all the old types of sanding pads I used to use, there was a 50 grit that was in there somewhere, but I started working with a 40 or 36 because it's rougher to begin with and can get all the lines and facets out more easily and more quickly. Sometimes it is good to kind of try to use a 60 grit in between, but I go straight to an 80 grit because it happens to be what is here right now, what is in the tin right now, so that's how we're going to work along on this. Try to make it so it comes out just like it ought to be. I think there was one of these in which the very step you saw me make around the head the last time around, I forgot to do that to the other one in between videos here like I was supposed to, so we're probably gonna take care of that at the end of this video, or I'd say we can take care of that right now, but need to put on the glove for sure. You don't want any accidents. You don't need any cuts or any bad injuries or anything like that. And if you don't wear the glove, you can get them. So we're gonna try to use a little caution here to go about this. I know that I'd cut myself so many times while carving that some of the wood carvers in the guild, they'd get concerned about me if they saw me carving without my glove. Once or twice probably had somebody get concerned because I was without my thumb protector like I am right now, but we just got a little bit of piece of work to do here, and we kind of got to get the work to come out right and make its way to us. And I say that this little bit of piece of step we're going to take care of on right now. Well, it's going to be sanded out eventually, so it's going to be worth it in the end. Sometimes the reason I just get so much elastic bandage is because my thumb guards that I make from it, they get lost so easily, and sometimes I have to kind of make more, but I'd say that the bandage is sure something that lasts a long way. And I mean, just got my thumb right there, but I'd say that there's just one little more step we need to take. Sometimes I forget to wear it like I should, like I did just now, and thinking that that's going to have to be the end of this sanding video right here until I can treat my thumb. So I'd say if we come back on here tonight, that'll be the very next step we'll take. We will finish the sanding and use the other grits we have here and go along to finish the extra piece of work. So I'm so glad you all were watching me tonight. So glad you all came on here today. And I'd say before we get too much blood on the carving, I'm probably going to kind of close things up here for right now. Good thing I can make my videos so short that we can show a little bit more in them. But as for today, that's about all I have left. So I thank you all for watching, and goodbye.